Good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise. I'm Anastasia Palacios.
Good morning, TGIF to you. I am Philip Simon.
And it is always a pleasure to be in your company, especially after a pretty long week.
It's been a pretty long week, a pretty intense week. Feels like we were just here, just like 24
I'm
hours
saying long,
ago.
but it was actually quite short. The time really did fly by, and it's amazing just how quickly time goes. Tomorrow I'll be 31. And so
Yes,
the
that's
time
right.
really does
That's
fly.
right. And I was going to get to that. 31. Godfrey, I'm not singing, man. But I give it a nice big hug, live on air. Going to be 31. Wow, congratulations, man.
Yeah, God has been good. So
Congratulations.
I really want to congratulate my mom. She did all the hard work. So thank you, Mommy. But no, the time does go by really quickly, and it just causes us to, I think, reflect on the space that we do have in this world,
Grateful.
making sure, one, that we're grateful and that we approach each day with an attitude of gratitude, and also that we're making the most of our time while we have it.
No doubt. I think Elder Miriam Roca down there in Foxville also turned 96 this week. Now that is a long time.
That's a long time.
Happy birthday to you. And then on the flip side of that, just want to extend condolences to my family, Pastor Hartman Nixon, on the passing of his sister Pearline Young. So the entire family, my Aunt Laverne and the boys,
My condolences.
Yeah, so you're right. It is a blessing.
Yeah.
It's a blessing for us to be here this morning. It's a blessing for you to be up watching,
Yeah.
television Bahamas at Sunrise. So glad you've chosen us.
Certainly, we certainly do. And, today is going to be a really good show. We're taking some time today to focus specifically on diabetes.
Listen,
Yeah.
reading these things, it said 1 in 7 Bahamians have diabetes.
Yeah, but when we look at the fact that somebody dies every 8 seconds from diabetes across the world, which is absolutely crazy when you think about it.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So here, 32% of Bahamians eat sweets 3 or more times a week. 92% of Bahamians drink 1 to 3 cans of a sugary beverage every single day.
Yeah. No, when you think about it, right, we make sweets a very common part of our lifestyle. And then if you combine that with the carbohydrates that we eat, right? So we're eating peas and rice, we're eating white rice, we eat a macaroni, something with the carb-heavy base every day, plus the sugar is going to make it a challenge.
And we are what we eat, right?
Indeed.
And that doesn't mean that we're sweet.
This is true.
Yeah.
But I think also for me, one of the biggest statistics that I found interesting was how many times diabetes actually could lead to blindness. And so
amputations.
Yeah.
It's a serious thing. It's a serious problem that we have here in our country. It can lead to so many different things: cardiovascular disease, kidney failure. We're going to talk about that here this morning. Going to get a lot of information. November is Diabetes Month, in addition to all the other things we've already said November is. And yesterday was World Diabetes Day. So the entire show today, as you might have figured out already, is dedicated to this particular topic: prevention and treatment. We've got Dr. Black here. Once again, she's back. Love it when she comes on, just a wealth of information. She's going to be talking about medical treatment for diabetes. And of course, we have nutritionists from PMH to tell us what we should be doing and how we should be eating. We've got one body to keep.
And it's a blessing to have it, so we really should take better care of it. So it's going to be a really good conversation, and we hope that you'll pay attention, that you'll tune in, so that, one, you can kind of prevent these things from happening, but that if you do have it or know someone who has it, you're able to help them by talking with them about some of the things that they can do.
In fact, wake them up.
Yeah, indeed. So in addition to that, we've also got the Minister of Health. He'll be here with us to talk about it. We'll learn more about the vision thing that I told you, 1 in 3 people, of course, losing their vision if they've got diabetes, and so we'll learn more about that this morning. And then, of course, we've got the Alive Weekend calendar, because we want to plan the weekend and make sure it's a good one. But there was some rain coming in this morning as I drove to work.
There was rain this morning. Not bad. I don't know, Godfrey's going to tell us whether or not it's going to last all day, but certainly it feels as though the weather's changed.
I'm happy about that.
You're happy about that?
Yeah, man, because the thing is, it doesn't last very long. I was on a video call with my mom the other day in Grand Bahama, and Grand Bahama gets a bit colder than we do here in Nassau. So she had on like this nice warm fluffy sweater and this hat, and I'm like, is it cold? Because I was sweating cold. I was sweating here in Nassau. She was cold in Freeport. So I invite a little change in the temperature. I hope it stays consistent. But to let us know, here's Godfrey Burnside with our first look at weather.
Weather at Sunrise, brought to you by Bahamas First in Insurance, today, tomorrow.
Thank you, Star, and I'm wishing you a happy birthday, Star, tomorrow. Enjoy your day. In your first look at the weather sunrise, we do have a weakening stationary frontal boundary across Grand Bahama, Abaco this morning. That's going to drift to the north, and that should dissipate by the day. But a second and stronger cool front should move through Grand Bahama, Abaco late tonight across New Providence early tomorrow morning. And yes, Phil will bring with some showers tomorrow morning across the islands, and then behind that, a little cool down. Any weather today, partly sunny and warm with a few showers, mainly across the extreme Grand Bahama, Abaco area. High temperature today reaching 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Tonight, partly cloudy skies on the mild side with a few late night showers, particularly with the Grand Bahama, Abaco area, moving into our area sometime tomorrow morning. The low temperature going down to 74 degrees Fahrenheit. And some regional highs and lows across the Caribbean, Barbados, 83 and 78. In Jamaica, 81 and 71. In Trinidad, 84 and 76. And the Turks and Caicos Islands, 85 and 75. Across North America, Atlanta, 49 and 41. In Raleigh, 48 and 39. In Miami, 81 and 72. Dallas, Texas, 58 and 34. And Toronto, Canada, 38 and 24. As we go to the weekend, cold front goes through tomorrow morning, and then that cool down. Temperatures by Sunday morning will be in the upper 50s over Grand Bahama, the lower 60s across New Providence. At daytime, in the mid to upper 70s. That puts you up on your first look at weather sunrise. I'm Godfrey Burnside. Back to you, Star.
Okay. Thank you so much, Godfrey. Well, the average Bahamian consumes 64 pounds of added sugar per year and enjoys a plate loaded down with unhealthy carbohydrates every day. Now, you guys know how we do it. It should be Sunday, right? That's what we say, but we tend to do it throughout the week. We've got macaroni, peas and rice, potato salad, coleslaw, and plantain added to whatever meat it is that we're consuming. So what role does our diet have in diabetes, and how does that need to change? We have two awesome women in studio this morning to tell us how. We've got Chandira Smith. She's a dietitian and nutritionist with the Department of Public Health, and we have Lathira Lotmore. She's a nutritionist with the Department of Public Health as well. Good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
A pleasure to have you guys with us. A really important conversation about diet and what we're putting into our bodies, and one that we try to have here on Bahamas at Sunrise regularly, but this month in particular we really wanted to focus on what should we be eating when we take a look at the stats that we have for diabetes. So what are we eating right now and consuming, and how is that hurting us?
Well, your typical Bahamian diet tends to be very high in carbs or starch.
Okay.
And, you know, your typical diet, we like our peas and rice, our potato salad, macaroni, corn. And the thing about it is all those things I mentioned, what do they have in common? They're very high carbs.
Okay.
So I think we need to just revise and just simply rearrange our plate.
Okay. Okay. And you've got a plate with you?
Yes.
Talk to me about the plate.
Okay, and also to add to what Ms. Lotmore said, we also drink a lot of sugar-sweetened beverages.
Okay.
When we finish that big plate of carbs that she mentioned, we like to drink more carbs, and that comes in the form of sodas, of Vitamals, or any other beverage highly sweetened with sugars.
Okay.
And so we have what we call a diabetes or a balance plate. All right.
Okay.
So of course it's 9 inches for females and 11 inches for men. So I don't have the male one.
Okay.
So in this plate, we actually only eat of 7 inches. So you know the plate has a nice circular edge. We supposed to enjoy it for you as we eat. Okay, so in it, we want to have half of it being non-starchy vegetables.
Okay.
A quarter or 25% being our starches.
Okay.
And a quarter or 25% being our protein.
Okay.
Okay, and when it comes to our protein, we want to have more of our plant-based sources as opposed to animal sources. Okay. Now I know we eat excess amount of meat also here in our country. When we, our typical plate would have at least 2 pieces of meat, especially like you mentioned earlier, on Sundays. Okay, and when Ms. Lotmore talked about the carbs, okay, now complex carbs, you would want stuff like things that haven't been highly processed, so brown rice, cassavas, potatoes, whole grain pastas.
So that's the meaning of a complex carb.
Yes.
So that's a good thing.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
The thing is,
yeah.
so even though people may consume them, they eat too much.
Okay.
So if you look at even your fist size, so the fist is actually the amount of carbs you should have on your meal. So your fist actually takes about a quarter of your plate. So that's the amount that we should have. So we normally have half a plate or more.
Yeah.
And that's way too much. So when we eat too much carbs, it sends up our blood sugar, and over a repeated time, then we can actually develop diabetes.
Okay. Okay. I like that, and I like the fact that you did the fist on the plate, because that gives us a good visual as to what we should be measuring and putting in there. And so rather than the peas and rice, which I guess we could have on occasion, we should be looking at things that might be better carbohydrates to be broken down. So would that include something like sweet potatoes?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yes, potatoes, yes. Your whole grain pastas.
Okay.
If you're using grits, try to get the grits as coarse as possible.
Okay.
I know we love our rice. So we can switch even the parboiling then to any kind of whole grain rice, whether it's brown rice, wild rice, whatever kind of rice that has some fiber.
Okay.
And that's the main nutrient for persons who even have diabetes, is to eat a diet high in fiber.
Interesting.
So fiber helps the blood sugar levels to come under better control and stay under control.
All right, Ms. Lockmore, what are some other foods that have fiber in it that might be helpful to diabetes patients?
That would be mostly your vegetables,
Okay.
your fruits. You even have, like you mentioned, some of your complex carbs, so like your cassava, your sweet potato, those type of things. Our grandparents used to call it the roughage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's an easy way to kind of remember when we think about the broccoli, the
Yeah.
cauliflower. Some of the young people may call it bird foods, which
Okay.
are lettuce
Yeah.
and so forth. But, they are actually your healthier types of foods
Okay.
to eat.
All right, and then should diabetes patients be cutting anything else out of their diet? Are they allowed sugar at all, or like how? Because my Grammy had diabetes, or my Nellie J, rest her soul, and she always used to say, well, I just want a little something sweet, because if not, my blood sugar will go too low, right? And I thought it was always a trick to just get a little bit of cake or just a little taste of ice cream, but are they allowed any sweets at all?
Yes, they can have some sweets, and the main thing to do is to have it with a balanced meal.
Okay.
So once it's incorporated with a balanced meal, it's okay. But it's still not having excess. So if you want to have a slice of cake on your birthday, that's fine.
Okay.
But make sure it's a part of your balanced meal. And we go a little deeper, we say carb counting. So
Okay.
but once you stick within that 25% of your meal being carbs, then
Okay.
that'll be okay.
Okay.
So just to add to what Ms. Smith said, I guess a nice way you can kind of think of it that probably wouldn't get you in as much trouble. So let's say today is your birthday and you plan on having a slice of cake.
Right.
Okay, that may be fine, but let's do it within reason. Let's be smart about it.
Okay.
So when it comes to your meal, perhaps you would have your protein and your vegetables, your non-starchy vegetables.
Okay.
Because you already know that your carb is going to come from that slice of cake.
Okay.
So you're kind of substituting or swapping instead of the beans and rice. You're going to hold back on that because you know you're going to get the carbs from the cake.
So ladies, we do have to go, but before we do, I want to talk to you about what we're drinking, right? Because you mentioned Vitamalt, the fact that we like a soda, like we want Kumde Punch or we want Coke, we want something with our meal that's very sugary. What should we be drinking if we can't drink, not that we can't, but if we shouldn't overdo the amount of sodas we're drinking, the amount of juices we're drinking, what should we be drinking?
The water is actually the best. I always tell people you can't go wrong with drinking water.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people don't like the taste of plain water. You can actually do fruit-infused water. You can add ginger. You can add mint leaves. There's fruits in it to give it a different flavor.
Okay.
But what you don't want to do is add sugar.
Okay.
Don't turn it into switcher.
And just to add to what she said too, when we are dehydrated, that actually sets up our blood sugar levels too. So the more hydrated we are, if a person has diabetes, their sugars will be usually more stabilized. And as she mentioned, infused water, all of those help because they also add nutrients to the body.
Okay.
And so we want to make sure that whenever they pee, that their pee is very a pale color. Every time they pee, we want to make sure the main thing is we want them to stay well hydrated.
Okay. All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us today. I think a lot of good information, and thanks for bringing the visual with the plate because that was really helpful for us to kind of see what it is that we need to do in terms of putting items on our plates. And we're just grateful that you joined us this morning.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be back.
Good afternoon. First response. How can I help you?
I've been in an accident on West Bay Street. Can you send someone to help?
Yes, ma'am. A first response team will be there in 15 minutes. Are you hurt?
No, I'm fine, but a bit upset.
We're glad you're not hurt. Please, try to relax. Our team will take care of everything as soon as they arrive.
First Response provides immediate on-site service and support from the scene of an accident through the claims and repair process. And it's free to all Bahamas First insured drivers in New Providence, every day for any type of accident. If you drive and want First Response on your side, call 321-FIRST or visit bahamasfirst.com for the name of an authorized Bahamas First agent. First Response can't prevent an accident from happening,
But it can certainly ease your mind when it happens.
We get up early every morning to offer safe and dependable service. where quality service is paramount. An excellent travel experience is priority. Connecting the islands of the Bahamas to the world. Bahamas Air. We don't just fly here, we live here.
Welcome back to the show. We've got a Sunrise veteran here this morning. She has been on the show so many times, just a wealth of information, and she's certainly been a clarion call for diabetes. Welcoming back internal medicine specialist, Dr. Omola Ablak of the Kidney Center. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, got on your shirt this morning.
I do. World Diabetes Day.
World Diabetes Day. You know, we've talked about this. I mean, these figures, I must admit, even though we've spoken about them so many times, they still remain alarming to me. You know, when we say diabetes is the 5th leading cause of death in the Bahamas, it's not something that we can take for granted. You know, but again, for persons who may not have heard, you know, what is the simplest layman's definition of diabetes?
So diabetes is when the blood sugar goes high and the body can't bring it back down to normal within a certain amount of time. And that time is like 2 hours after you've eaten. And so what really causes diabetes for the most part in our population is when the body doesn't respond to insulin resistance, because insulin is what brings the sugar down. So high sugar in the blood is diabetes.
Yeah. And why is that a problem?
So based on the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, most of the diabetes that we see is type 2 diabetes. And type 2 diabetes, even though there is some genetic predisposition, meaning if you have a family history, a lot of it is environmental. Environmental meaning lack of activity, obesity, and we already know in the Bahamas we are in the top 10 countries in the world for obesity and diet. Poor choices. These are the things that contribute to the development of diabetes.
So you know, I saw a statistic says 1 in 2 people don't even know that they have diabetes. I mean, what is the symptoms?
Right, so 1 in 2 people don't know they have diabetes, and you know, incidence is probably somewhere around 13.1%, but using what you just said, it makes it closer probably to 20%, which is pretty serious, like you say. The symptoms of diabetes, for the most part, people come in complaining of feeling tired, blurring of vision, itching in the skin, dryness in the mouth, feeling thirsty more than normal, waking up a lot to pass urine, or just generally passing urine more frequently than normal, wounds that may not heal, you know, insect bites that turn out very quickly, get infected very quickly, numbness, tingling. These are the big symptoms of diabetes that would cause a patient to come in.
I mean, I mean, in the previous segment they talked about nutrition, all the rest of that. I mean, is diabetes mostly a result of behavior, or is it genetic? I mean, who's more predisposed to becoming a diabetic?
So it is a combination of the two, but behavior plays a very big role. And you know, there is some research that suggests up to 80% of diabetes can be prevented with lifestyle change, diet, exercise, weight management. So even though there is that family history type of association, it is preventable with change.
With change, yeah. I mean, we kind of touched a little bit also too on the organs that are impacted by diabetes. When we talk about the kidneys all the time. How does it affect the kidneys? And also we talk about cardiovascular diseases as well, but particularly the kidneys.
So diabetes is one of the top 2 causes for kidney failure in the Bahamas. And unfortunately, the number of people that we have with kidney failure and on dialysis is quite high. Diabetes affects the largest group of people suffering with diabetes is actually the 40 to 59-year-old age group, which is youthful, productive age. And a lot of these people end up with kidney damage, kidney disease, that leads them to have dialysis, which can be prohibitive to life.
Yeah, you talk about dialysis. I mean, what else is the medical treatment? Is diabetes is non-curable? Is that correct, or is it's a manageable? It's a managed disease.
So There are people who are high risk for diabetes.
Right.
The people who are high risk are the people who, have a poor diet, lack activity, increased BMI, family history. That being said, with early testing and early intervention being lifestyle change, you can manage your diabetes and even prevent it to a certain extent.
Okay, all right. And again, is this something that affects, you said 40 to 49. What about children? I mean, do you find that children, younger persons below that age range are affected?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes.
We are seeing an increase in diabetes or type 2 diabetes in the younger age group. And I feel like I'm saying the same things over and over, but it goes back again to lack of activity, video games. Children don't play as much as they used to. Increase in body mass because children are now more overweight than they were 20 or 30 years ago. And food choices, processed foods, fast foods, sugary foods. It's contributing to an increased incidence of diabetes in childhood, yes.
And of course the treatment is insulin. When would somebody need insulin as a result of diabetes?
So for the most part we're talking about type 2 diabetes. And the starting point there is always total lifestyle change, which we've touched on already. And after total lifestyle change, it's medications, pills. And so we use pills, and in most cases you're able to control the blood sugars. That being said, there are some people where the pills are not enough to control the blood sugars, or they've been on the pills for so long they no longer work, and we have to convert them over to insulin. And you don't see the back of my shirt, but it says A1C matters, and that tells us the percent of sugar in the blood. And so if somebody comes in and the percent of sugar in their blood is high, more than 10%, because normal is 5 to 6%, you would opt to put that patient on insulin earlier on to prevent some of these complications that you spoke about.
Wow, I tell you. So somebody, is experiencing any of those symptoms that you mentioned earlier, what should they do? I mean, just come into, the internal medicine specialist at the kidney center and get tested, or you can visit any doctor?
You can visit any doctor,
Okay.
any doctor, any clinic, and let them know your symptoms. And it's important to remember what are your risk factors. Well, if you're overweight, if you're a woman and your waist is more than 34 inches, a man more than 38 inches, if you have a family history of diabetes,
a lot of people.
if you're not very active, meaning you don't exercise 30 to 50 minutes at least, 3 to 5 days a week, if you have a family history of diabetes, if you're over the age of 40, if when you were pregnant you had increased blood sugar during that pregnancy, these things increase the risk for diabetes. So if you fit into that category, or you have some of the symptoms that we spoke about, feeling thirsty, drinking more water, itching in the skin, wounds that don't heal, numbness, tingling, blurring of vision, you should go and get tested.
I'll tell you what, I mean, the testing rate should go up significantly for those persons who are watching this show today. Dr. Abelak, thank you so much once again for always being so readily available to be here on Bahamas at Sunrise.
Thank you for having me.
Love the shirt. You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We're going to be continuing this topic all show long. We'll be right back.
Hi, Mrs. Johnson. Are you all right?
My husband just had surgery. I'm stressed. In the hospital bed, wheelchair, bad pants, so many things. Where am I going to find all these things?
Have you heard of Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies Limited?
Are you taking care of a loved one at home and in need of home care supplies such as a hospital bed or wheelchair, underpads, and even a shower chair? Well, look no further. Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies, located on Shirley Street, is just the place for you. You no longer have to travel to Miami or anywhere else to buy your medical supplies, such as compression stockings, mastectomy bras, diabetic shoes, and orthopedic braces. We can meet all your medical needs. Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies Limited. We deliver quality products and service excellence.
COB prepared me to be a leader by teaching me to work hard for what I want. I'm the first chief internal auditor at the University of Bahamas. To me, that's an honor to be able to do that. I feel like I'm giving back to a university that gave me a start in my life. I'm Errol Thompson, and this is my UB.
Apply today at www.ub.edu.bs.
From TV to phone to fast internet, how can we show appreciation for the 25 years you've been with Rev? To celebrate our 25th birthday, Rev is rewarding 250 lucky customers with $250,000 cash back. Simply switch to Trio, upgrade to Trio, or pay your bill in full and have your chance to win cash this Christmas. Just call 601-8992 or email us at trio@cablebahamas.com. Rev, you and us together.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. Well, high blood sugar levels caused by diabetes can damage blood vessels in the eye and lead to severe vision problems. Here to tell us more is Dr. Supriya Arora. She's a consultant retina specialist at Princess Margaret Hospital. Good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning.
A pleasure to have you with us this morning.
Thank you, Celia.
Because we're talking about something that I did not correlate. The fact that so many people get blindness as a result of diabetes.
Yeah.
So talk to me then about how diabetes directly affects the eyes.
Well, diabetes can affect the eyes in a number of ways. It can cause cataract, glaucoma, and I would say the most important and the vision-threatening side effect is the diabetic retinopathy.
Okay, what is diabetic retinopathy?
So let me say what is retina first.
Okay.
So retina is a layer at the back of the eye where all the light rays coming from the front of the eye are focused.
Okay.
And once the light rays are focused onto the retina, they are passed on to the nerve at the back of the eye, and from the nerve the impulses carry to the brain, and this is how we normally see.
Okay.
So when the diabetes affects the blood vessels in the retina, it is called as diabetic retinopathy.
Okay. And so how does it then affect it? Does it then switch the way we view light? Like how does that work? What causes this diabetic retinopathy?
So what happens is when the blood sugar has been uncontrolled for a long period of time, the blood vessels in the retina, they either swell up and leak. When they leak, they cause a swelling in the retina. Okay. The second thing that it can cause is the blood vessels can totally stop the blood flowing into the retina.
Wow.
So if the blood totally stops flowing into the retina or the blood is inadequate, then how will the retinal cells get oxygen?
Okay.
If the retinal cells do not get oxygen, they will die.
Okay.
So this is how the retina becomes diseased because of the high blood sugar.
Okay.
Now, depending on the stage, like it can be, you can say it can be divided into two stages.
Okay.
One is the non-proliferative diabetic retinopathy, and the second one, or the more advanced one, is the proliferative diabetic retinopathy.
So how does one know if they might be struggling with one of these? Are there symptoms that somebody would say, okay,
well, unless the disease is advanced,
okay,
they wouldn't come to know. So first thing is that by regular screening, they can come to know that their eyes are affected by diabetes.
Okay.
Okay. If the disease is advanced, so as I was saying, so there are two forms, right?
Yeah.
Non-proliferative and proliferative. In either of these forms, a patient can have something called as a macular edema.
Okay.
All right, like that's when the blood vessels leak fluid and cause a swelling in the retina.
Okay.
If a macular edema happens, patient is going to come with a blurry vision.
Okay.
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 And if it's the more advanced form of the disease, which is the proliferative diabetic retinopathy, then in that case, patient is going to have more severe symptoms.
Okay.
Okay. So in the proliferative diabetic retinopathy, they can be bleeding inside the eye. What happens is that in the proliferative stage, because the normal blood vessels of the retina are closed and the retinal cells are not receiving oxygen, so the body tries to compensate.
Okay.
It tries to produce new blood vessels.
Right.
But these new blood vessels do no good to the eye.
Wow.
These new blood vessels are very weak and fragile.
Okay.
And they bleed.
Okay.
And when it bleeds a little bit, then patient can have symptoms of floaters, like something floating in front of their eyes.
Wow.
And when it bleeds a lot, then it can completely block the vision.
Wow.
And after this bleeding thing, if it is still not treated on time, then the new vessels not only they produce bleeding, but they can also start pulling onto the retina from its place.
Okay.
And lead to something called as a retinal detachment.
Oh, gee.
Which is one of the most horrible things for the eye.
Yeah.
Because it can make you permanently blind.
So that's a lot. A lot that we know that can come as a result of not controlling our diabetes and the way it impacts our eyes. How can we treat it? Is any of this treatable?
All of this is treatable.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, so first thing first is why let this develop?
Right.
And prevention is better than cure.
Okay.
Right? Controlling blood sugar, blood pressure, healthy lifestyle, exercising, taking your medications regularly, and going to an ophthalmologist for regular screening are the basic things that can be done.
Okay.
You know, to prevent this.
Okay.
Okay. Once it develops, then in the non-proliferative diabetic retinopathy stage, if there is a swelling in the retina or the macular edema, it can be treated with injections inside the eye.
Okay.
Okay. So what we normally do is we normally give injection inside the eye one every month, and we do that for 3 consecutive months.
Okay.
And after 3 months, we assess again.
Okay.
The patient requires any more injections, or you know, can the duration between the injections can be increased, or what? Okay. Again, depending on the blood sugar control and blood pressure control of the patient.
So important. Yeah.
If it is well controlled, the treatment is effective.
Okay.
If it is not well controlled, then the treatment is not effective.
So it really comes down to being very disciplined about taking care of that blood sugar level, making sure that you're eating the right things, making sure that in addition to eating the right things, you're taking medication if you're on it, so you can get those levels down so that the treatment can't work.
Yeah.
And that even before you get to that stage, you're trying to take control of it so you don't get to that place where you need to be getting the eye
Absolutely,
infections.
absolutely. And the story doesn't even end there. Like, you know, if the disease reaches the stage of proliferative diabetic retinopathy and it bleeds inside the eye, if the bleeding is a little bit, then laser can be done.
Okay.
If the bleeding is a lot, then a surgery needs to be done.
Wow.
And when it reaches the stage of retinal detachment, then again, surgery is the only option left.
Wow.
And this surgery is not any simple surgery. It's a very complex surgery. I would say one of the most challenging surgeries in the eye.
Wow.
And outcome clearly depends on how bad your retina is before you were taken up for surgery.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, this is very serious, and I'm just hoping that people are paying attention, because in our society, diabetes it just seems to be so common that people seem to think of it as something that's almost automatic. At some stage, we just have
that's
it.
true.
And there are some people that know, okay, I can lose a limb, and so we're aware of that, but I don't think enough people recognize how serious it plays on eyesight, and eyesight is critically important. When you take a look at, you know, your experience, and obviously you see patients that come to this level, but generally, do you think that this is something that's impacting the diabetic population in a significant way?
Oh, to a lot.
Okay.
First of all, I would say that Bahamas is leading the world in diabetes.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Out of those diabetic patients, 1/3 of them have diabetic retinopathy.
Oh, wow.
And a further 1/3 of them have a vision-threatening diabetic retinopathy.
Okay.
Somehow my practice is such, because I'm a retina specialist, so all the diabetic retinopathy patients are referred to me, so I see a lot of them.
Right.
But even overall, the prevalence is very high.
Okay. All right. Well, Doc, how can people reach you if they do want to find out more from you, or they want to get tested, or what are the steps that they need to take in order to contact you?
Well, I'm working as a full-time consultant in Princess Margaret Hospital.
Okay.
So I have my clinic days on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays
Okay.
in the Eye Care Center, Soldier Road, and Princess Margaret Hospital.
Okay. But in the meantime, diabetics should see another ophthalmologist just to make sure that they're getting tested regularly.
They have to see, like, you know, they have to undergo an annual screening.
Okay.
Even if they have no symptoms.
Okay.
Okay. And when they are screened annually, they will be told, like, if there is, like, you know, if there is a mild diabetic retinopathy, moderate, severe, or proliferative, the doctor will tell them of their stage.
Okay.
And depending on what stage are they will have to follow up more frequently or undertake treatment.
All right. Well, Dr. Aurora, thank you so much for joining us today. I mean, this was really literally eye-opening, right? I didn't even mean to do the pun on words, but it really was eye-opening to see how significantly this disease can impact our eyesight, and I hope that people will just take the conversation seriously to kind of prevent them from getting to that stage. But thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
There is nothing as powerful as a changed mind.
Under the theme Success Beyond Self, Hubert Edwards Global presents Success Summit 2019, a power-packed lineup of inspirational, dynamic, world-class speakers, including Dekessa Dean, Shivargo Lang, Dr. Kenneth Romer, Simone Bowe, Ethan and Dekel Quant, Ian Mora, Crystal Ferguson, Wellington Hepburn, Malachi Monroe, Polo Prosper, Rodney Bain, Victoria Mullings, and Hubert Edwards. Hosted by Chavez Brown. One full day of mind-shifting transformational success principles. November 30th, 2019. Super Clubs Breezes starting at 8 a.m. Your investment for this personal growth opportunity is $100 and $200 for exhibitors. Sponsors include Genesis Now, Cash and Go, Alive, Arawak Port Development, Summit Insurance, Next Level Solutions, Baloo's Jerk, and Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Tickets available at all Cash and Go locations. Success beyond self. You simply can't afford to miss this mind shift moment.
There is nothing as powerful as a changed mind.
Comfort Suites Paradise Island is the best kept secret in the Bahamas. Located directly next door to the Atlantis Resort, you'll receive all the privileges of an Atlantis guest with all the benefits of a Comfort Suite stay. Enjoy everything Atlantis has to offer, including Aquaventure Water Park, plus all the amenities of Comfort Suites. Free Wi-Fi, free breakfast daily, and kids stay, play, and eat free. Visit ComfortSuitesPI.com.
So who really own a Nassau container port?
Boss, that's easy. The government.
I do.
I do. Thank you.
I do.
I do. And one day, he will too. I do. Knock knock.
Here at the Nassau Container Port, we've diversified our ownership to give hardworking Bahamians a piece of the economic pie. And we'll continue to grow so that we can give you a consistent return on your investment. That's our promise.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. We're at the halfway point on this fabulous Friday.
Fabulous Friday indeed. Hopefully you've been enjoying the conversation related to diabetes. Oh, it's interesting. I mean, you know, it's one of the reasons I love this job.
Yeah.
Yes.
You get to learn so much, and
job.
Yes, obviously we're not alone and just kind of moving forward. It really is a good time though, because you get to learn so much. And I was speaking with Dr. Aurora. She's from Princess Margaret Hospital, just about how diabetes can really cause people to go blind and feel it. It's quite scary, you know. And our bodies are just so perfectly and wonderfully made. But if one thing goes off, it really turns everything backwards. So it's important that we take care of it.
And that's what you said. I mean, our bodies, it's a system. I mean, God, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you know, it's just
amazing to see how
amazing,
it
right?
works.
And you believe in evolution. Anyway. I know we're going to start another debate
That's
here.
A whole other conversation for a whole other time. But we still got more to come in the second half of the show. We're going to be talking with actually some engineers from the University of the West Indies.
Yes, welcome them here to the show. And we'll also be talking about the impact of diabetes, obviously, on our limbs. You know, you talked about vision, but also feet and possible amputation. So, you know, more to come.
More to come indeed. Before we get to any of that, we'll take a second look at weather with Godfrey Burnside.
Who's going out first?
Me.
Weather at Sunrise, brought to you by Bahamas First. First in insurance, today, tomorrow.
Thank you, Stan. Good morning, Bahamas. And your second look at weather at sunrise, the tropics. The tropics remain quiet, and a tropical storm formation expected during the next 5 days. On the local scene, we do have a weakening stationary frontal boundary across Grand Bahama and Abaco. That should dissipate sometime during the daytime, but a second and stronger front should move through late Friday night across Grand Bahama and Abaco, Bimini, and move over New Providence by early on Saturday morning. That ushered in some windy conditions with also some cooler temperatures for the weekend. In your marine forecast, those winds today southerly at 10 to 15 knots, sea 2 to 4 feet over the northwest Bahamas. Those winds falling light and variable at times. Southeasterly at 10 to 15 knots, sea 2 to 4 feet over the central and southeastern islands. On Saturday, those winds start off west to northwest at 15-20 knots, seas 4 to 6 feet, becoming more northwest to north at 15-20 knots, seas 4 to 6 feet over the northwest Bahamas, variable at 10 knots or less, seas less than 3 feet over the central and southeastern islands. Then on Sunday, those winds northwesterly at 15-20 knots, seas 4 to 6 feet over the northwest and central Bahamas, variable at 10 knots or less, seas less than 3 feet over the southeastern islands. Your tides. You can expect a high tide at 9:17 this morning. Next low tide will be at 3:48 this afternoon. High gain tonight at 9:36. Sunset 5:20 this evening. Rises tomorrow at 6:27. UV index 7. Your water temperature 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Honeymoon phase now moving towards the last quarter. Your extended look. Expect tomorrow some early morning showers with some cloudiness, but clearing by afternoon, becoming windy, and those temperatures start to dip. Pretty good weekend otherwise, with the partly sunny skies coming Sunday into Monday, but cooler temperatures. Those temperatures daytime will be in the mid to upper 70s at daytime, at nighttime, upper 50s to lower 60s. Flatfoot to wrap your fun look at weather at sunrise. I'm Godfrey Burnside. Back to you, Phil.
Thank you very much, Godfrey. Prolonged periods of high blood sugar levels in persons with diabetes can cause nerve damage and poor blood flow. Here to talk more about that is Dr. Delton Farquharson, General and Vascular Surgeon, Bahamas Surgical Associates, right up the street. Good morning. Welcome to the show. He's not a first time on the show, but it's the first time with me. Good to see you, man.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah, we have been talking about diabetes all morning long, and now we get into, we talked about how it can impact vision, but of course, poor circulation and diabetes can also affect the feet and limbs, our lower limbs. Talk about how that happens.
Well, there's a complex interaction between diabetes and the development of foot ulcers. Okay. This complex interaction involves damage to the nerves. We know diabetes, particularly those who have had diabetes for more than 10 years, okay, they get nerve damage, and the nerve damage, we get a polyneuropathy, meaning that there are more than one type of nerves that are damaged. Mm-hmm. You get nerves that functions to help the skin function properly, and so okay, because those nerves are damaged, patients end up getting cracked skin because they can't regulate the moisture in the skin effectively. And then you have nerve that sense your position in the world, how you feel and all those kind of things, and those nerves get damaged. So you can imagine a diabetic stepping on a sharp object, not being able to sense that they did it, and they walk around with an injury for a long time. And then you have the nerves that helps the feet to move, the motor nerves, and those two also are damaged with diabetes, and they end up with abnormal foot mechanics. You put these three factors together with poor circulation as a result of diabetes, because what happens is diabetes causes accelerated atherosclerosis, which is hardening of the arteries. And so people tend to develop atherosclerosis 10 years earlier than they really should be if they have diabetes. And that this atherosclerosis causes decrease in blood circulation.
So hardening of the artery and decrease, so does that mean like it's impacting blood flow?
Right, it impacts the blood flow because when you have hardening of the arteries, the blood vessel cannot dilate and shrink as it normally would do in response to, again, the same kind of nerves, okay? And what's happening is you have cholesterol deposited inside the walls of the blood vessel, and over time, calcium joins this complex thing, causes what we call coral reef plaques. Have you heard the term plaques before? And these plaques can cause narrowing and sometimes complete occlusion, thereby reducing blood flow in the larger vessels, which affect the smaller vessels of the feet.
And exactly, smaller. So feet are particularly, susceptible.
Yeah, the feet are particularly exposed and at risk for developing of these type of ulcers. And we call it neuroischemic ulcers because you can have ulcers just because you have abnormal nerve damage inside the feet, or you can have a combination of nerve and vascular damage. And you call this a neuroischemic ulcers.
So when you have diabetes or you've been diagnosed with diabetes, how often should or how frequently should you get a foot exam or a limb examination?
Well, most people who are diagnosed with diabetes have had these symptoms probably for about 5 or 10 years before they actually have a diagnosis. And if you have these symptoms for that period of time before you are diagnosed, unfortunately you already have some of the micro and macrovascular changes between the large vessel and small vessel changes that predispose people to developing foot ulcers. And so you may say, I've only been diabetic for 5 years, but I have these ulcers. And that's because you really had it for 15 years rather than 5 years.
So that means by the time they get to you, you've got a serious problem.
Oh, by the time you get to me, you have a very serious problem. As a vascular surgeon, I'm the one who will restore blood circulation to the feet. And most people who have diabetes, they have this problem with circulation. A study done in France recently showed that every single patient who presented with an ulcer had two things. They had nerve damage and they had circulation problems. And the same thing was demonstrated in a European trial.
So what do we have here this morning?
Well, here we have some of the items we use in managing or in treating diabetic feet. And someone have a diabetic ulcer, it could be small and insidiously small, but it's still serious because the diabetic can't, quote unquote, heal their wounds as regular people can heal their wounds, and sometimes they need extensive debridement. We have something here that we use as called a vac machine. It provides negative pressure, and this is something that we can apply to the wounds. We also have dressings that help keep the wound moist. One of the things that we learned over time is that wounds need moisture in order to heal properly, and we use some of these products to add moisture to the wound. We also have product that has silver in it. Silver has been shown to be antimicrobial with its properties, and in a topical application, we can reduce the amount of bacteria that colonize wounds and help effect proper healing.
Well, let me ask you then, so, this is obviously wound treatment. What would lead to an amputation?
Well, about 85% of patients who come with an ulcer, those people who get an amputation, about 85 of them have an ulcer before. All right. So ulcer actually links directly with amputation. But it's the infection. Overall, a diabetic have like a 15% lifetime risk of developing some type of ulcers, and about 25 of those people will have some type of infection within their lifetime of their ulcer. And there are other factors that contribute to getting an amputation.
That's a last resort, I would imagine.
Amputation sometimes is a first resort. Yes, because if someone comes with what we call a bad infection or ascending infection or gas gangrene, there's little we can do, and so you don't want it to progress rapidly. So you have to do amputation in the first instance. I just want to emphasize that amputation is the last thing that we try to do. Right? Because we know that when we save a limb, we actually save a life, because taking off a leg is not, one, is not easy, and two, it has effects on the person and on society later on in life.
So what advice do you give to somebody who might be feeling these symptoms of diabetes or just feeling uneasy? To avoid, I don't want to say to avoid coming to you, but obviously you want somebody to live as long as they can and live as healthy as they can. What advice do you give to persons who are diabetic?
Well, let me say first that prevention is usually better than cure. So one, you want to prevent developing diabetes in the first place. And so to do that, you want to mind what you eat, how much you eat, how much activity you involve yourself in, take away all the factors that cause risk. The internist, Dr. Black, was on the segment earlier, and she showed you those risk factors. So that's one thing. If you are a diabetic already, you want to have your foot checked regularly. Every day by someone who lives with you, and annually, if you have no problems, you see a doctor every year and get your foot checked. Now, if you have a problem, you need to find a doctor who is well versed in managing diabetic foot, the podiatrist, the vascular surgeon, some family medical specialists, some intern specialists. You need to find those people and get their feet checked on a regular basis, either every month, every 3 months, every 6 months, as necessary.
All right, excellent words of advice here from Dr. Delton Farquharson, General and Vascular Surgeon at the Bahamas Surgical Associates Center right here. Call 7. All right, thank you so much, sir. For watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
This is Eddie, and Eddie's a change counter. This is Sean. Sean doesn't have to count change because when Sean purchases a plan with Alive, it's VAT inclusive. Keep things simple, just like Alive's all-new VAT-inclusive prepaid plans with more talk, more text, and even more data. So don't be an Eddie. Freedom simplified. Alive. Believe in best.
Are you taking care of a loved one at home and in need of home care supplies such as a hospital bed or wheelchair, underpads, and even a shower chair? Well, look no further. Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies, located on Shirley Street, is just the place for you. You no longer have to travel to Miami or anywhere else to buy your medical supplies, such as compression stockings, mastectomy bras, diabetic shoes, and orthopedic braces. We can meet all your medical needs. Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies Limited. We deliver quality products and service excellence.
Business in the Box is your solution for business from Cable Bahamas. It's an internet, voice, mobile, and advertising solution all in one place. Get reliable internet, free domestic call, and a live corporate package, and free TV ad placement, all starting with packages as low as $164 a month. You can save over $3,000 a year. Just call 601-8911. That's 601-8911. And ask for Business in a Box from Cable Bahamas Business Solutions. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. Well, we've had an interesting show this morning, primarily focused on diabetes research, and a lot of the doctors that actually treat our patients here have come through the University of the West Indies system. UE, of course, has a very historic relationship with the Bahamas, producing some of the brightest and best minds in our country. This morning, they're going to talk to us more about the programs that they have available, including their engineering program. We're very happy to welcome Dr. Omar Thomas. He's a lecturer and a deputy dean for the civil engineering at the UE Mona campus, and he's also brought Marjorie Bolero Houghton, who's the assistant registrar at UE Mona. Good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning, Star.
Thank you. A pleasure to have you guys with us to be talking about something I'm really passionate about, and that's higher education, especially at the UE space, because one, it's so culturally inclusive,
yes.
And then two, the pricing is actually pretty good. So just kind of give us a gist of the University of the West Indies and the programs that you offer before we get more into the engineering side.
Well, the University of the West Indies started in 1948 with 33 students, medical faculty. We now have over 50,000. We have 5 campuses. Up to recently, up to July, we had 4.
Okay.
So we now have a new one, which is called the 5 Islands campus. And that's in the OACS countries. There is the first one that started Mona in Jamaica, then Trinidad and Tobago, which is the St. Augustine campus, and Cave Hill in Barbados. So that's where we are as a campus. We offer a plethora of programs across medical sciences, humanities and education, social sciences, law, engineering. Did I leave out any? I said humanities. There's an Institute of Gender.
Okay.
So we have several programs, and this is across the university-wide, across the region.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Now, one of those programs is engineering, and you guys have moved from having a department of engineering into a faculty of engineering.
That's correct.
So what does that mean?
Okay, so as a faculty, well, traditionally, Trinidad, St. Augustine campus in Trinidad had a faculty of engineering for years.
Okay.
And so as our program at Mona continued to expand and grow, it could no longer remain a department.
Okay.
And so it being a faculty, we have more reach where in line with the campus in Trinidad.
Okay.
And so as a faculty, we have four Bachelor of Science programs.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What are those 4 programs in engineering?
We have civil engineering, electronics engineering, electrical power engineering, and biomedical engineering.
Interesting. Yeah. And why would people want to take the engineering route?
Pardon me?
Why would someone be interested in taking up an engineering course? Or what is the future like for those sorts of careers?
Well, engineering has to do with problem solving, all right? Problem solving and serving mankind.
Okay.
And so, you know, even in terms of building infrastructure, roads, bridges, and when you look on the technology side, when you have to do with things like cell phone, robotics, those things are very essential for us in this era. And so persons who are inclined to that, you know, should proceed and take the engineering route.
Excellent, excellent. Now, are there requirements to get into the engineering program the same as they are for all the other programs that you read?
No, the Faculty of Engineering has its own requirements.
Okay.
Mathematics and physics are key.
Okay.
Of course, English language and others. You need to have 5 subjects to at the advanced level. In the case of Bahamas, as we have seen, many persons just go to BGCSE.
Right.
But if you have an associate degree with the relevant subjects, you can get into engineering.
Okay.
Now, for medical sciences, you really need to have chemistry, biology, physics, mathematics, and English. Those are core at the BGCSE level.
Okay.
Then the persons could do a preliminary science with us, a 1 year to prepare them to get into medicine.
Okay.
Also other programs. It's not only medicine that is in the Faculty of Medical Science. There's physical therapy, diagnostic imaging, nursing, dentistry, pharmacy. All of those are in medical sciences. And sometimes what we have found here is that most Bahamians, at the college fair, 3/4 of them want to do medicine.
Yes.
You know, and they want to become a doctor, not just a general medicine, or they want to go into law.
Okay.
We also have, like for the science and technology, whatever area you want to do. If you want to go into marine sciences, of course, biology has to be a part of that. And for that faculty, you need to have at least 2 laboratory sciences, mathematics, English language, of course, with that. But for law and the humanities and the social sciences, pretty much the subjects will do, anything will do. The humanities, if you have, of course, a humanities-based modern language, literature, history, or something like that can get you in the social sciences. Mathematics is key, but English is compulsory across the board for the UWI. So when we talk about the other subjects because most persons know English.
Yeah.
But for the others, you know, you can, whatever you have, you can come in, and students are allowed to do double major, so you actually can get out with 2 degrees. You could have something, if you like French, you could do French and management studies, or you could do French and mathematics. You can't mix the professional program. So medicine, you have to do straight medicine or engineering for now. I know at St. Augustine, for some, you can mix like engineering with other aspects, but not for the medical sciences.
Understood. The workload is pretty intense for those, so we understand that.
Yes, so they can't.
But even with the engineering program, you guys have something called like a prelim, right? So that people can come in and maybe do a year before they get into the program?
That's correct. That's correct. So the Bachelor of Science for Engineering is 3 years, and the prelim engineering is 1 year.
Okay.
So for like students in the Bahamas with their BGCSE coming out, they will be qualified to enter the prelim program, and then they could go into the bachelor. So it will be a 4-year program for them. For persons who are at the University of Bahamas with their associate degree in engineering or engineering technology, they will be qualified to go into the 3-year program.
Excellent, excellent. Now, how do people apply? Is it the same application process for your engineering school as the general UE process?
Yes, there's a general web link for application, and then you can filter and select into engineering. Or tuition. Well, let me just say, if we were to look at other universities overseas, tuition range from like 30, 40,000. Our tuition for Bahamian students is 10,000 US per annum.
Okay. Same as the Jamaicans, so they have the same fee basically as the Jamaicans. International would be about 15,000 US.
Okay.
But it's 10,000 for Bahamians like Jamaicans.
Excellent, excellent. So you're paying almost like what we would say in the U.S. an in-state rate, so an in-country
exactly,
rate,
exactly.
which is a lot, very feasible, I think, for more people than there's absorbent piece that you would pay outside of the Caribbean region.
And with that tuition, we give the students some resources to help them through the program.
Excellent, excellent. So how can people contact you if they want to apply or they just want to learn more about the programs? I know you've got these awesome books that I've been given to take a look at. That does have a lot of information
in
it. But
we
how
are
can people
actually
reach
at the
you?
college fair. So those who, if they can, they could come to the college fair. I know lots of students have been coming there.
Okay.
But they simply go onto the website. Make it easy. Just go onto the University of the West Indies, Mona campus. Click on there if you want to apply. It says how to apply, whether you're new, you're a returning, you're a graduate student. So it is right there for them. But I just wanted to include that while you're studying at UE, you can learn locally and study globally, because they have the opportunity to study abroad. As I told you, some have gone to Norway, to Sweden.
Wow.
Many persons go to Canada, and the Canadian government gives them a sort of a bursary where they pay their UE fee, of course, but they can go, and the Canadian government give them what can cover their cost of housing and meals while they are there. So we give the best of both worlds, of all the worlds. That's there. And housing, a lot of persons are interested in housing. No, you have housing is dependent on you. You can have where you double up the traditional halls, or you have the non-traditional where you can have your own room, your own flats, but of course the price will vary. But even with that, they are not going to go to the 10,000 US for housing as they might do in the States.
Wow.
It's maybe up to 4,000, but less for some, depending on
what they choose. Awesome. So lots of opportunities available to the University of the West Indies, and we certainly encourage people to visit your website or come and see you at the college fair for more information. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
One thing, two things, blue thing, all things, things that are small, things that are grand, things that fit just right, and in the palm of your hand. Fox Hill Nursery, a large selection of garden supplies. If you can see it in your mind, you can find it at Fox Hill Nursery.
You have to let them know.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. We hope that you enjoyed the show.
Yes, I did.
I did too.
I did learn a lot, always. But listen, have a wonderful weekend. Know it's going to be a little cool, certainly up there north in Grand Bahama.
So make sure you guys cover up. I'm looking forward to just a little chill here in Nassau, but it's going to be a good weekend, so make it a wonderful one. We'll see you on Monday.
Monday it is.